Colin, yes.
Let's get the lady in the back and then definitely this lady.
Yes.
What?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, my sister Molly.
Oh my God, people! That's... Oh my God. All right, tonight on the Tom Kelly Show podcast, my friend Al Isaacs wrote a book, Finding Mary Smith. The gist of the book is that his parents have dementia and he finds out he's adopted. What does he do with that information? The interview is compelling, and hang on because there's a surprise twist at the end of the interview. I just hope that we did a good job recording it. This is going to be a long episode. Share it with friends where you can share it. And yeah, let's start the show.
The Tom Kelly Show!
Please welcome Al Isaacs and Tom Kelly.
My name's Tom Kelly, and I'm going to tell you about me, because that's what you do when a friend asks you to interview them about their book.
That's right.
I'm a stand-up comic. Actually, turns out not as younger in experience than Al, but not as much in age as I had thought. I was a comedian in the late 1990s at Gary Smith's Brokerage Comedy Club right there. And out of everybody in the comedy scene, I would say if you had to pick the nicest and most consistently kindest, with a little bit of a shot here and there, it would be Al Isaacs, ladies and gentlemen. I have had two intense personal experiences with Al outside of comedy. Don't get romantic, sir, please. We're selling a deep book here. Save the jokes, Gary. Anyway. But no, like my grandmother was sick on Christmas on a week that Teresa was also sick on Christmas, and we both spent. It actually turned out to be a good Christmas for both of us because the people we love were okay.
Yes.
And then another time where, to speed through the story, I was injured. I lost all my teeth in a bad accident, and my first show back was on the road with Al Isaacs. Yeah. And I thought I knew Al Isaacs. Then I read the book. And it turned out Al Isaacs didn't even know Al Isaacs.
No, that is true.
We were trying to figure out, like, how many of you have read the book by your applause? Okay. How many of you have bought a copy and are going to read the book? And then how many people here are going to buy a copy based on how funny Al is in the next few minutes?
Oh, boy.
Okay, I'll give you my one sentence description, and you can tell me if this is right.
Okay.
Guy dealing with his parents' dementia.
Yeah.
Learns an intense identity-changing personal secret and doesn't know what the hell to do with it.
Correct. In fact, he learns it and doesn't realize that it's true because of the dementia.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that this is a product. I'm talking about myself in third person.
Yeah.
I mean, he thinks that this guy Al that I'm writing about finds out from an oncologist.
Yeah.
Calls him at work and is looking for family medical history because his mother keeps hanging up the phone on said oncologist. And when she calls back and says, well, I can give you my medical history. And she says, well, I don't need yours. I need your mom and dad since, you're adopted. And that's what I said.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't say that because I thought it was the dementia talking. My mom had been telling doctors all kinds of crazy stuff in the weeks up to this. And it wasn't until I actually Facebook messaged an aunt of mine to say, this is how bad the dementia has gotten. Look what she told a doctor. I'm thinking this is going to just reinforce, what I've been saying to her over the weeks about the sickness, and radio silence. And then about a day and a half later, I got a message back that started with, I always wanted to tell you. Yeah, that's what I said. And actually, I didn't say anything. I was so freaked out that I literally had to print out the page and bring it down to my wife because I couldn't speak.
Which also is a sign of age when your dad is printing Facebook messages.
Yeah. Let me just tag onto his story there about meeting us at the hospital, because I don't think you guys realize just what a good man Tom Kelly is. So Nick and I were waiting in the hospital waiting room for my wife, and we were supposed to be at my sister-in-law Vicky's for Christmas Day. By the way, we left these open for Elijah. We're sitting there for most of Christmas, and leaving the hospital, because he already visited the post he's supposed to visit, is Tom Kelly. And he says, "Hey, Al," and he should have left. He should have been with family on Christmas. Instead, he sat down and spent 20 minutes with my son and me, keeping us company in this hospital, which in and of itself is amazing and above and beyond. He leaves. 20 minutes to 30 minutes later, I look up, Tom Kelly is back, standing in front of me with 2 plates of food. He brought Christmas dinner to my son and me in the hospital, which, who does that? It was amazing, and it was a beautiful thing, and everyone should have a Tom Kelly in their life. And when I got the bill a couple of weeks later, it was very reasonable.
Well, I was going to say...
I mean, the service charge, but it's Christmas.
I knew one day you would find out you were adopted and write a book about it and book me in Huntington.
Sure.
Now,
Quid pro quo.
I'm going to be a douchebag for a second here.
Please.
Has anybody ever used that word in the book review or the next chapter or whatever we call this place this week? Okay, the place that's almost Huntington Village, yes. Al brought me in to keep him on track, and 5 minutes on how awesome I am, notice the narcissist I am, that I said, well, if it's about me.
Dude, my family was more excited to hear that you were going to be here than the fact that I wrote a book. They're like, wait, internet sensation Tom Kelly's going to be there?
But I mean, and I guess that brings us back into being on topic, is yes, internet sensation Tom Kelly is here, and internet sensation Tom Kelly has to say, these people lived it. Aren't they sick of this? I mean, this is identity changing. Like, I had this moment with Nick. I have a lot of relatives I don't talk to.
Right.
At one point, my birth certificate was missing.
Right.
And the difference between me and you is I was hoping I was adopted.
That very lies the twist.
I was ready to be all Clark Kent. I am Kal-El, ready to go.
Yeah.
Comic book reference. Thank you, lady, for not getting it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought this was like here, with you and your parents.
Yeah.
Your parents were quirky.
There's a word.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to I don't want to say they were a-holes, but they had an a-hole.
No, they were.
You weren't like them.
No.
In a sentence or two, Dad was a money guy.
Dad worked on Wall Street. Mom was a housewife who hated him for working on Wall Street. And if you watch Seinfeld, and you take the Seinfelds and the Costanzas, and you meld them together, that's my folks. That's my parents. And what I mentioned, and what I learned in this journey was, the fact that I wasn't like them, I think was a problem, and I didn't know it.
I mean, you're an artist.
Right.
I mean, I joke about my parents that my parents are very supportive for 2 people who don't find me particularly amusing.
Right. Correct.
Your parents, what did they think of your career in the arts?
How much did you get paid?
That's what they would say after a game.
That was the beginning and end of the conversation. What did you get paid?
Was,
I could have been like so happy. I could have, just coming home from Gary's club and going, man, killed it tonight. Really? What did he give you?
Well,
that was it.
To be fair, it was Gary Smith.
That's
I knew
true.
it was very little.
God bless you, Gary.
Was it 20 or 25?
No, but that and you're talking folks who were used to seeing Wall Street numbers, so there was nothing I was ever going to say that was going to impress them. But I didn't know until all this happened. I didn't know that there was no number that I could give them that they were going to be impressed by, because every time I did a show, every time I won something, every time there was any kind of accolade, it was just a reminder to them that I wasn't made of the same stuff. And I didn't know that. I never read the rule book. So
I mean, they did not want you to know you were adopted.
No, 53 years, no.
No hints.
No hints, no clues. And I was an only child. So there was never something happening that would be a red flag that someone else would point it out to me and go, dude, that was weird. There was never anyone there. We would joke within the family, going, what, are you adopted? And I'm sure they were in the back of the room sweating. They're on to us. I'm sure that had happened, but I was completely in the dark. I had no clue. You know, and then my wife's like, well, didn't you ever notice that there's no pictures of your mom pregnant with you? And I'm like, I'm a guy. I don't look for that stuff. I don't know.
And you know, and there are no pictures of my mom pregnant with me. There are no pictures of my. It's funny. There's pictures of my brother's baptism, not mine. I was told Dad exposed a film. I'll explain what film is later.
Back in our day, in the snow, uphill.
But you were different. But now you get this.
Yeah.
You have an aunt confirm it, and both parents are alive.
Yes.
And neither is in a spot where they could,
Fill
with
me
a
in.
clear brain, fill you in.
No.
Did you ask your dad?
No, I never told my dad.
You never told
I
your
never
dad?
told my dad that I knew. He passed away 3 weeks after I found out. I never told him that I knew. I figured, what would be the point? And yet, you know, after all these years, 5 decades, why?
You told your mom.
I went to my mom after I got confirmation. And her first, who told you? Like, there may have been an out, right? And I said, well, first the doctor, your doctor told me, and then your cousin confirmed it. And she said, yes, you are adopted. Let me tell you about my nurse. And she just would go off on a complete tangent, and that was it. That was the end of the
Now,
conversation.
was that the dementia or her ending the
See,
conversation?
that's the beautiful thing about the dementia. You couldn't tell she had it. If you knew my mom, one of her quirks, as you put it, there were certain things that she did that would have pointed to her having it for years. That was just her personality. She had a set of stories, and when you spoke to her, I love her mom, but God bless her, she had a set of stories that if you said something, it would trigger one of her stories. Not that she was listening to you. Not that she was processing anything you were saying. She was waiting for your mouth to close so it was her turn, right?
Yeah.
So, and the way her dementia presented itself, if you spoke to her for 5 minutes, even when she was bad, if you spoke to her for 5 minutes, you'd never know anything was wrong. She could have she had her act so down that you never, but 10, 15 minutes, you start to go, oh, this is kind of weird. And then if you met her the next day, you'd get the same stories, but with a different ending. So it wasn't until I was taking her back and forth to visit my dad in the hospital. And as we're driving, the same house, the same tree, the same store would trigger the same stories night after night. And I'm going, something's wrong. And then one night she started telling me a story about her dad, my grandfather. My grandfather lost a son. My uncle passed away when my mom was 10. And one night she's telling me a story about how her father got so drunk that at age 13, she had to drive him home. Except the story ended with, and when I got home, my brother was there waiting. See, it's your turn. And I'm going, wait a second, you're 13. He was gone for 3 years. He wasn't there. And it's like all starting to come together for me going, there's really, really something wrong here.
So, and I had trouble reading the book at first.
Well,
I
I
told
don't
you
use
this.
verbs. So,
All the big words.
it's like Mad Libs. Enjoy, everybody.
You were very real and painful about your parents' dementia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my parents aren't young.
Wow.
I dealt with it with my grandparents, my grandmother when I met you,
Yeah.
At St. Joseph's that day.
Right.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
And now, compounded on that, is your identity has changed. And I'm going to add to that, Nick's identity has changed.
Yes.
Your wife, all the BS she's been putting up for years,
Yes!
that's changed.
For nothing?
And
Yeah.
one extra detail
Yeah.
for color for those of you, they live in Levittown. Everybody loves Raymond style.
Come on.
Across the street from each other.
This guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your mom died a few years after your dad, right?
Yeah.
But you started the search for your birth family and the truth about your existence right away. This is all happening during COVID, right?
Right at the tail end of COVID.
Tail end.
Yeah.
So what year is this roughly?
2021, 22. 21 I think I found out, so 22, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And let me say this too, because I am it is pretty dark, and it is pretty tough. And that is why, like, right out of the gate, I am telling you, the miracle reunion with my mom, I put a spoiler right at the title of the book.
And yet you sold out anyway.
I sold out anyway. I know, but I wanted to let folks know there's a happy ending. Because literally, every time something would happen, and there were a lot of twists. There was a lot of stuff that was thrown at me. But every time something happened, people would go, you got to write a book. And I'm going, I can't write a book unless I find Mary. And you got to write a book. And, oh, that's crazy, you got to write a book. I can't write a book unless I find Mary. So I found her.
Well,
but yeah, there are some parts in the book where it gets pretty.
But like what's your first is there anybody here in the room who has gone through something like this where they found out they had extra relatives or maybe their identity? Now, I'll ask you, and then you can just give me a nod if this is right. What's the first step? Holy crap! I'm not me.
I'm not me. All right. Let me preface this by saying this. It could have been so much worse. Because in going online and reading about other people who were finding stuff like this out, I have friends, I have family that's spitting distance from me, that like celebrate St. Patrick's Day like it's Christmas 2.0, okay? Everything is green everywhere, and it's corned beef and cabbage, and Irish. If they were to find out tomorrow they weren't Irish, destruction of identity. It would all fall apart. It would disintegrate. I didn't have that. I was fortunate enough that up till that day, I thought I was 75% Russian, 25% English. My wife wanted to do Ancestry years ago, and my answer was, I know everything. What do I don't need to know. What do you can go find out? I know everything. I knew nothing, and it would have been really weird had I done it. So I did. So for me, my identity in this order: husband, dad, that didn't change. Comedian and teacher, that changed because of COVID. That had nothing to do with this thing. So the only part that got bad, the only part that was weird was, and performers, if there are, anyone who's ever gone on stage, I know there are a couple of comedians here tonight. This is so weird, by the way. There's so many. If I was a tree, it's like you cut me open and here are all the rings. It's like high school and Hofstra and Shots. It's all here tonight. It's like my Facebook page come to life. My identity, none of that stuff was taken away. COVID took the other parts away. This part remained the same. But if you've ever been on stage, and if you've ever taken my class, I always talk about the voice in the back of your head, right? I talk about the voice in the back of your head that tells you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not funny enough, you really don't deserve to be here, right? Everyone has it. Everyone's felt it at some point in their lives. There's been that moment, call it stage fright, call it imposter syndrome, call it whatever you want, but it's there. And it might sound like a teacher or an ex or a guidance counselor or a parent. It's got whatever. I don't have that anymore when I went on stage, but that voice found a real good opportunity to come on back when this happened.
So you're now on stage, and the things you're doing, you're hearing you're not you. What does the voice say?
Oh, no. I'm sitting and watching TV at 10 o'clock at night with my wife, and that voice goes, hey, by the way, you don't know your parents' names. And it'd be, oh.
And did this affect the marriage?
I'm sure it did. I'm sure I was not great to live with for a while. I'm sure. But you know what? Here's the funny thing. Because I've been telling people, when they ask me how I'm doing, the people who know the story, Al, how you doing? My answer to them is better. I don't know if I'm doing good. I think I'm doing good. But back when this was happening, people would say, how you doing? And I would say, good. I really wasn't. Mm-hmm. But it's only in retrospect, when I look back, I go, man, was I a mess.
Because one of the things I found touching about the book was, and we'll get an answer to that first step question in a second, was just how supportive I thought Teresa was in the book. And not just Teresa, but your sister-in-law. Is that the sister-in-law who helped you out? So this has a happy ending. And
because of, right there.
Your sister-in-law.
Right there.
So you find out, keeping you on track here, you find out.
Yeah.
Do you go spit in a cup and mail it to 23andMe?
Several of them. Yeah, I went across. I was dry mouth for weeks because if I saw anything that looked like a vial or a small glass or a Dixie cup, I was spitting in it, and I was sending it off.
Thank God this isn't a story about his quest to become a father. Different cups.
Different cups.
I don't know why I locked eyes with the one guy who looks like Colonel Sanders there, but he is not shaking. He is just like, yeah, keep your porn jokes elsewhere, buddy.
That's it. Yeah, that was one of the first steps. Was, you know, and praying. It's like you're playing the lottery with those, right? You're hoping I'm going to send this up in 6 weeks. There's going to be my mom and dad's name, and it's going to be like that. And I'm going to reach out, and it's going to be great. But so many things were happening at the same time, right? So I'm sending off that stuff, and I'm trying to get information from my aunt about what she knew. And the whole thing was that my adoption was closed. And by closed, I found out it was gray market. And let me tell you what the difference is. Black market means you got a baby, I got cash, let's meet in the parking lot, and we'll swap. Gray market means we're going to give the illusion that this is all up and up. But as a lawyer, I'm going to be the lawyer for them, and I'm going to be the lawyer for you. So that way I can put anything on this piece of paper, and no one's going to ask me about it. There's no oversight, and I can charge anything I want. And that was Mr. Stanley Micklin for me. So that confused things for me. That made it tough.
So from my experience reading the book, I read an advanced copy on my laptop and somehow missed this on the cover of the happy ending. So I had the advantage of messaging you throughout me reading.
Yeah.
There's a moment where I'm like, crap, I don't know if I want to get to the end.
Yeah.
But I'm actually glad I didn't read the happy ending.
Okay.
Because
Well, we've ruined it for everyone. Sorry.
no, for me, well, I'll tell you for me for this moment now.
Yeah.
Because now there's a stage where you're a closed adoption.
Yeah.
There's no data.
No.
And the only data you have is a guy who was kind of a criminally, but not criminal.
Yeah.
Lawyer, and that you don't know for a certain chunk of time whether or not your parents bought you from someone.
Well, that was the thing. When I saw the name Stanley and Micklin, this is my biggest question, and I will never have the answer. My parents kept my adoption papers, and I don't know why. If you're not going to show me, if you're not going to tell me, why didn't you burn them? Why didn't you shred them? Why didn't you throw them away? They didn't. So I had them on onion skin paper. It's delightful. And
I'll explain what paper is later.
Yes. So not only was I starting with very little information, but the information that I had was all wrong. It was all fabricated. So the adoption papers stated quite plainly that my birth dad died before I was born. It said he passed away from diabetes before I was born. And I found that tidbit out a few days after my other dad passed away. So it's like, in a span of a few days, I lost 2 dads.
You lost your dads.
Yeah, but here's the thing. At that point, I said, I can't do this anymore. I give up. And this was Nick and Teresa like going, no. And giving me the space I needed, giving me the time I needed, understanding, but then picking up the ball where I was going, I can't. And through Ancestry, I found an aunt, which I thought was like the first kind of bright spot in all this. We thought it was a cousin, and my wife said, no. With the percentage of DNA, with her age, this is an aunt. So I sent out a very cryptic kind of, I didn't want to scare anyone off, but just like, hey, Ancestry says we're kind of related, maybe we can touch base kind of thing. And her daughter answered me and said, oh, this is great. I'm sure my mom's going to want to speak to you, talk to you, text. This is going to be wonderful. And then 3 days after that said, she's not interested in connecting. Good luck. And I went, oh, okay, we're done. And that was when I kind of went, I can't. It's like I put it down. And they picked it up, and they went to my sister-in-law here, Victoria, who has a laptop and Wi-Fi, and went to work. And she found an obituary. And she didn't know what to do with it. She's looking at it, she goes, Al is not looking right now? And they're like, no, Al's not looking right now. And she's telling my brother-in-law, you got to see this. And she shows him, and he falls out of his chair. And then at a family gathering, she brings my wife over, and she says, how do I tell Al? You got to see this. And we look at it. And my wife comes over to me and says, I know you said you're not looking, but Vicky thinks she found your dad's obituary. And I said, oh, from 1969? And she said, no. I said, that doesn't make any sense. The adoption paper said he died in 69. She goes, no, 1998. And I went, oh, okay, are we sure? And she says, take a look at it. So I'm looking at it and I'm reading the facts of his life and I'm going, all right, some of it seems kind of, that makes sense and that seems kind of okay that we have that in common and then there was a picture at the bottom and it was a picture of my son. I mean, twins, identical. And I went, I guess that's my birth dad. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I can't thank this lady enough for doing that for me. And what was really amazing was at the bottom of the article, it mentioned he had a daughter named Molly. And I said, oh, I got a sister. So that was like, okay, I guess. Yeah.
Facebook stalking for a long time.
Yeah.
I had all of
Yeah.
it.
Well, save that for when you write your book.
There you go. Whose story is this?
How I found Al's mom.
So, but that was a beautiful thing. And there was just enough juice to go, okay, we're back on the case.
But hey, so you're back on the case.
I'm back on the case.
Talkative sister-in-law found someone.
Yeah.
And you reach, and Tracy, how much time do we have? What are we at?
About 5 more minutes and then we'll do Q&A.
Great. Okay, good.
Cliff Notes version. Here we go.
No, because, well, there is a lot, and since we're sold out, how great would it be if we just read the book to everybody out there?
Chapter 1.
But I am going to say, again, one quick thing. You talk about 23andMe.
Yeah.
You don't realize, like, how much your dad looks like your son. You could see it in the book, but then when you see it in person, you go, wow.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Nick standing like this.
For pictures.
For pictures after. But so you met what I will call a half-sister.
I call her my sister.
You now call your sister.
Yeah.
But right now she's just someone on Facebook your sister-in-law thinks you're related to. How does that contact go?
I wrote her a letter. I wasn't again, old man writing letters with pens. I wrote her a letter. I wasn't going to email this.
A letter by hand.
By hand. And I sent it to Chicago. And again, very cryptic. I think I might be related. And the email back to me was, we're not just related, you dummy, I'm your sister. And I went, oh, you are my sister. This is awesome. And we were on the phone instantly, and it was insane. It was amazing. And the funny thing is, she's 10 years younger than me. And I vividly remember being 10 years old and telling my parents I really wanted to be a brother. And I had no idea that miles away, there was a sibling being born at that very moment. Now, mind you, I didn't understand what being a brother meant. I didn't understand that they actually had to give birth to someone. I just thought, it's a playmate who lives in the same house as you. This would be great. But yeah, I had a sister out there, and she is awesome.
But she was into talking to you.
Oh man, was she into talking to me? And
What is that first half hour like?
Well, it was one mind-blowing thing after another, starting with, I've been looking for you for 20 years.
So she knew you existed.
She knew I existed. She knew. Her mom told her about me as they drove home from college. Her mom, who is not my mom, we share.
Her birth mother said your birth father.
Yes, had a child with somebody else who was good for adoption. Somewhere out there, you have a brother, and that is for this woman. Her name is Roz. Is one of the big heroes of this story because in any piece of fiction, if you were to write this story, there's no way this woman is a hero. There's no way you would write this character that the wife of this man, after he has passed away, is going to tell his daughter that there's a brother out there from another woman.
So she learned that after her dad passed?
After her dad passed, yeah, after 1998, she told her that.
Okay.
And she was the one who told me that your mom's name is Mary Smith, which I'm going, could it be more exotic? Really? She's like, yes, your mom's name is Mary Smith, and she's an amazing singer. And that was kind of...
And I think it's important to give this part away, that they met while your mom was a musician in Michigan?
Yeah, so, my birth dad, Paul, and my birth mom, Mary, met at band camp. This one time at band camp. And fell for one another and were writing letters back and forth. Mary was in Michigan and Paul was in Montana, and they would write back and forth. And Mary became a pretty successful musician. And she went on tour and was at the University of Montana and spent a week in Paul's teeny tiny apartment. Had nothing else to do, they didn't have cable. And I was...
And the story that at least Molly knew
Yeah.
was you were somehow you were consummated
Yeah.
after before
So
he found out after you were born or something
Yes,
like that.
the story that, as Roz knew it, was that Mary called Paul on Christmas Eve in 1969 to say, I had your baby 5 days ago and I gave him up for adoption. And that was all they knew, right? So that was Paul. Now, mind you, skipping ahead, I found Mary. I went to visit Mary. Mary lives in England. That's why she's not here right now.
But wait, and hang on for the Mary thing. Finish
Sure.
the Paul part.
All right.
That you find out though, Paul thought Molly, Molly thought Paul didn't know you were around until after.
Yes.
They gave you a name.
Well, they didn't give me a name.
How did you get the name Mary Smith?
So, yes, Roz gave me Mary Smith. Roz gave me the name Mary Smith, and maybe a couple of weeks later, New York State sent me my pre-adoption birth certificate, and that confirmed it. Mary Smith was my mom. Everything else was on the birth certificate was a lie. Where she was living, her birth date, all that stuff was fabricated. Her age, yeah, all fabricated. But Mary Smith, they didn't change that.
And you found out,
Yeah.
Mr. Artist raised by financial people,
Yeah.
that your mom
Yeah.
and dad actually
Yes.
were musicians.
We're amazing musicians.
How do you feel about that? That's got to be like a revelation, right?
Suddenly, my life makes sense. Suddenly, it's like, oh, that's why I am. And that was the reason I found Mary. The biggest reason was Mary, as a musician, my wife was saying to me, she goes, our niece, Caitlin, who is an amazing performer, she's like, every time she's out somewhere singing or acting or she's, in a production, there's an article, there's something in the newspapers. Maybe there's something about Mary. Hey, that's a good title. So I had an amazing group of, we call them search angels online. And they are detectives, they are DNA, genealogy experts, they work with percentages and chances and whatnot. And I went to them and I'm like a dope. I'm going, hey, maybe there's an article about her being a singer. And they're going, well, we're looking into the... And I'm like, just look. And sure enough, they found this article from Michigan about her winning the first round of this competition called Sound of Youth. And with Sound of Youth as a search term, I was able to look Mary Smith, Sound of Youth. I found out she won the city, she won the state, she won the regional. She went to the finals, which were aired on WOR-TV here in New York.
Channel 9, if you remember that. Yeah.
Hosted by Duke Ellington, and won the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Won the whole thing. She was American Idol before there was American Idol. But because of that, I was able to do my research and find more about Mary.
You're finding out about Mary.
Yeah.
Mary is talented, and not just talented, but accomplished.
Yes, there's the word.
And speeding to the moment of discovery a bit here.
Yeah.
You found her through eBay, practically?
All right, so at this point, we still don't know if Mary's alive. And as I put in the book, I'm collecting articles and interviews where other people are collecting memories. And I'm finding out everything about this 19-year-old girl. And she was amazing. But every morning I would do a different search term. I do Mary Smith coffee house, Mary Smith folk singer, Mary Smith singer, Mary Smith Sound of Youth. One morning I typed in Mary Smith guitar. And Google Cache brings up this picture of a beautiful Martin acoustic guitar. Gorgeous. But right next to it is this picture of Mary standing in front of the bitter end. And I went, oh. So I went to the website where that picture was, and the picture's not on there. I'm going, that's weird. Google had it cached, but it wasn't on the site.
And just to get you past the technical stuff, he's a nerd and was able to find a picture that was deleted.
It was deleted a year ago.
Yeah.
So I went to the Wayback Machine online and found out it was on this particular website a year prior. So I contacted the guy at the website, this guy named Anthony Wernicke, amazing, very cool guy. And I said, hey, I see you sold a guitar like a year ago. Do you have any more pictures or information on what might have happened to this girl? Because I can't find articles after 73, any stories. And his answer to me was, oh, Mary, sure, I know Mary. And I went, no, not new. You know Mary? Oh, sure. And the guy, and what I didn't realize is his record. First off, who on a guitar shop, who puts names and pictures of the people who own stuff? Nobody. I should not have found that picture, but I did. And I get him on the phone, and it turns out he's in England, which I didn't realize that. But he calls me, and I'm trying not to overwhelm him and seem like a psycho, that I know all this information about this lady I'm looking for.
Right.
And
did you tell him that you thought it was?
Yeah. I think he picked up on it. I don't know what it was. But he wrote back to me, and literally in the last slide, I put the email in the book. His last line said, "I think this might be something special," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And then I tried to ease it. I tried not to overwhelm him. I'm sure I did. And he says, "Do you think she's expecting to hear from you?" And I said, "I can't guarantee that." And he said, "Oh, I can't guarantee that she's going to want to talk to you, but I'll try," because. It's one thing if a 20-year-old shows up at your door and says, "Hey, you're my mom." That's one set of, well, what do you want? But, a 50-something-year-old guy showing up, at the very least, I have a life, I have a wife, I have a son. I'm
not looking for money.
I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for anything. On the other hand, I'm dropping a bomb in your lap. This is the second time in your life I'm showing up unexpectedly. And I don't know if you have other kids. I don't know if your husband knew I was there. So it's like I'm kind of.
I don't know if you're home wrecking.
I have no idea. And it turns out I wasn't. And it turns out she's amazing, and with open arms. She and Molly had the exact same response, which was, "We thought you knew. We thought you knew you were adopted and didn't want to be found." And my answer was, didn't want to be found, I didn't know I was lost. And it turns out, yeah. So
wrapping it up before we go to questions.
Yeah.
You meet her.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
I got a tour of the Isaac house where there's art, vinyl records.
Yeah.
It's
like Graceland.
It's like
Yeah.
Well, but not nearly as stalkery. It's like she's always been there now.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. She visited for a week, and maybe a month after she was gone, my son turned to her. She's like, I feel like Mary should be here.
And now that you've found her,
yeah,
how have you evolved, if not changed?
I feel a lot better. I mean, my life, that part of it makes sense now. I think there was and I guess only people who've gone through this can understand that, there was a hole that I didn't know was there. There was a part of me that was missing that I didn't know was missing. I just assumed, just like my childhood and the weird things that my parents would do. Like my parents, when I was growing up, they made a conceited effort to tell me, "Oh, your eyes? You get that from Uncle So-and-so. Your height? That's from your grandpa." Like everyone
they really filled you with the BS.
Oh man, did they? And but everyone they would point out was dead, so I couldn't actually go to anyone to double check. So,
and listen, as I drank the egg cream,
Yes.
you did have happy memories with your mom and dad.
I did.
They were good people.
Yeah,
I think quirky is the best word.
Yeah. I mean, they loved me in their own way as best as they knew how.
Yeah. Well, they spent $20,000 on you in the '70s.
Yeah.
So they definitely wanted you. I mean, could someone like do inflation? You're like, that's like a $300,000 baby right there.
I was that was on the weirdest. I was a $3,000 baby.
Oh, 3,000.
There was a receipt.
Yeah.
How many people get to see a receipt of what they're worth?
Yeah.
When I was older, when I was doing a pro wrestling website, because here's three words you don't hear very often: pro wrestling journalist. They actually took out key man insurance on me, and I was in the room as they were discussing how much. Which I'm like, I'm worth much more dead than alive.
Yeah.
But that was the second time in my life. It's like to see, that was what I was worth. But yes, they loved me. They did the best they could. It was just weird.
And now, weird is a good word, and I'm going to end on this question.
Yeah.
You go through so much in a 3-year period.
Yeah.
Why would you write this book? And what do you hope to get out of writing this book?
sold out book events. No. I'm hoping, number one, for purely selfish reasons, this was therapy. To be able to go through this. And the beauty of it being when it was, it's like, here's all the emails and here's all the dates, and I was able to save all this information. And as I was saving that information, I was able to look back and go, oh, you know what? All this homework and detective work that I did, maybe someone else can benefit from it. So for the copies of the book that have gone out, it's been very, very cool to get the feedback that I have, because for some people, their takeaway is the dementia stuff. They have it with their parents, they have it with grandparents, whatever. That's what hits them. Other people, they got an Ancestry kit for Christmas as a goof, and when it came back, in addition to finding out that they were a distant relative of Richard III, they also found out Dad ain't their dad. So that's happening a lot. So hopefully in reading this, I'm giving people a running start going, here's what I did. Maybe some of this can help you. You know, and they don't have to kind of...
And I can tell by looking at the crowd, you've reached a few people, maybe not Gary Smith, but the person next to her. And I think that's a great moment to maybe turn to the crowd. I could see just on the smiles on some of these faces that you've gone through something like this. Anybody have a question for Al? Colonel Sanders, yes.
What kind of chicken do you want?
God bless you, Robert.
So, unlike Al, I remember the foster homes, and my sister had a sibling who would say, I have a sibling.
So you were adopted, sir?
Yes. Okay. And she would come in and say, well, I have the receipt, you're going back any day now. But the one question I haven't asked, and I understand everything that your family has done for you, why did you take this journey to start with?
I kind of had to. And it was only after I did it that I looked back and realized why. I wasn't processing anything. All the stuff that was happening to me was happening so fast between my parents' illness, trying to take care of them. I'm like a very methodical guy. I like to do my homework before I do something. Sometimes my wife will disagree with that, but I try to be prepared and do stuff. And at almost every turn, my hand was forced before I was ready. Whether it was how to care for my dad, how to care for my mom, taking care of their house, all these things, I wasn't quite ready to do it, and COVID only made it harder. So diving into becoming a DNA detective and doing this work and trying to find this stuff out, there's part of me, if I'm being honest, that I was doing that rather than dealing with my feelings. And it was almost like, I'm going to find this guy Al's family. I'm going to do the research. I'm going to read these stories. And it helped me cope and deal. And, some people will pick up on it when they're reading, others, just, kind of. But that's kind of it.
Who else? Don't be shy. In the back. Yell it out.
Hi, Al. Teresa's friend, Claudine.
Oh, hey, Clay, how are you?
I was wondering, when you had told me this story, a couple of months ago, or whatever, and I've been kind of thinking about it in the back of my head. I haven't read the book yet.
Yeah.
I know you had said that your adoptive parents had kind of banished some relatives.
Oh, yeah.
They were saying to your parents, "We gotta tell them."
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Did you sort of, after you wound up talking to some of those relatives, I know you never talked to your dad, and you couldn't really talk to your mom in her right mind about this.
Right.
Did you kind of figure out if there was a deeper reason why they kept it from you so dramatically, other than the fact that it was a gray?
Why did your parents keep it from you?
Yeah, you know what? I don't even think the gray market part was the biggest problem for them. Although that may be why they kept the papers. We've discussed it now because Stanley Mickelman, the guy who handled the adoption, was in Newsday all the time in the 70s and 80s. The guy, in fact, one of the funny things was when I was researching him, there was a full page article which it would be okay if you missed it because on the other side of the page was the OJ car case, the chase. So my wife and I were actually in Mexico when that happened. So it was like, oh, that's freaky. So
And there was a movie about him.
oh, there was
Linda Carter.
yes, there's a book called The Baby Brokers.
Oh, Born to be Sold.
Born to be Sold is the name of the movie in the 80s, which my wife insists she watched. And she went and got the ultimate piece of property from it, you know, the merch, barely used. So to answer the question, why? There's a great documentary by this guy named John Bain, who, after I watched it, I reached out to him and we got to talk, and it was amazing. It's called Filling in the Blanks. And he had a very similar story to mine, except his mom was his mom, but they, went through in the late 60s. It turns out his real dad is a medical intern who had 19 other kids with other women. But what we had in common was both Jewish, both from the same era. And I think there's a part of it that was embarrassment, maybe, that they didn't like anything being labeled, that they didn't want people to know that they couldn't conceive. They might have said it was to protect me. Could have been to protect them. But the bottom line was, like, what he kind of taught me was that we were both, John Bain and I were both playing a game, and we didn't know the rules, over the years. We didn't know we were supposed to say or do certain things and protect them. I had no idea. I had no idea when I'm going out and being a drummer that's freaking them out because my parents are musicians. I didn't know I'm freaking them out every time I'm going on stage. I didn't know I'm freaking them out when Gary Smith is booking me for very little money. I had no idea. I had no clue. And by the way, you dispute this. This is how funny the universe is. I worked for Gary Smith for how many years, Gary? 7, 8, 9 years. Yeah. Now, here's my mom's name, Mary Smith. One letter difference. Gary, Mary. If this were an electric company...
Here's where I dispute this. There is nothing maternal about Gary Smith.
What about paternal?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
My question is, Mary was all over the folk scene in this country.
Yeah.
Was she all over the folk scene in London? And your birth father was something special too.
Yeah.
Did he sing? Did he play guitar?
Yes.
And the third thing I'd like to say is when you were going through all this, he kind of looked at me and we had a conversation. He kind of asked me, he says, were you part of the folk scene in New York City?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. No, the woman lived right next door to Kettle of Fish and Gaslight Cafe. She was like literally right next there. She was around the block from the bitter end. She was, across the street from John Lennon. She opened up for, actually an amazing career. Yeah, crazy career. Was she big? So she didn't move to England until 2007. And to answer a question a few of you might have in the back of your head, I was her only child. She never had any other children beside me. And she didn't get married until 2007. And she did tell her husband about me. So it wasn't such a crazy...
Turned out to,
it didn't blow up. So, yeah. But was she famous elsewhere? I'm sure she sold records elsewhere, but she was performing strictly coffee house all across the country, early 70s. College, yes.
Let's get the lady in the back and then definitely this lady.
Yes.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, my sister Molly.
Oh my God, people! That's... Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Well, there's that. Folks, let's give...
Come have a seat here for a second, would you?
Folks, let's give Molly a loud round of applause. Molly.
All the way from Chicago.
Okay. Wow. Wait, Molly, you came out from Chicago for this.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I'll ask the crowd. Do you guys have another 5 minutes? Yes! Who kind of wishes the Molly surprise came out about 20 minutes ago? Yeah? Oh my God. Did I think that I almost blew off the last question too, by the way? Yeah. Molly, sit down. Molly, sit down. Sit down.
No. Have a seat.
Well, wait. Sit down and let's keep this a show. Sit down in the chair. The two of you sit down.
Okay.
All right. And Al, because you're gonna be showing this to your grandkids.
Yeah, I am.
You two share that mic because this will be a good recording. Okay, Molly. I guess the question is, you've been watching the whole thing, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Glad I said nice things about you. Okay.
I guess the question is, what did we miss? One.
Well, from my side, I think Al covers it pretty well. I was looking for him for a long time. I knew about him. I was very close with my father, with our father, and I wish so much that you got to meet him.
Yeah.
Especially like reading the book and your experience growing up. Like my parents were so kind and so supportive and so.
Mine were quirky.
That's what I learned today. That's what we're calling it, quirky. It just, it's been very emotional to hear about how you grew up versus how I grew up. I mean, I don't know that it would have ever been a
big theme today has been nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
What similarities do you have with the Isaacs family, with Al in particular?
So, he's hilarious. I'm hilarious.
It's true.
And he's a showman, and she sure as fuck is. Wow.
So I am a historian, and my nephew is a huge history guy.
Yeah.
I got a PhD in history randomly.
Yeah.
I'm not musical. I didn't get the music part.
Do you have kids?
Yeah, I have a daughter, Rosa, who was born. I was pregnant with her when Al found me.
Okay.
It was a package deal. Awesome. Her daughter's amazing.
She's 4.
So it's fun to hear this on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
How did finding Al and his family change you?
Wow. I haven't gotten to process it a lot. I mean, because I was pregnant when he found me with my first and only kid in my 40s, so an older mother. It was during COVID. It brought back a lot of emotion with losing my father when I was 19 when he died in a car accident.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, because we said it to Nick after we found, the picture of Paul, and we're kind of warning him. We're like, she flew out to visit me weeks after we found each other, and she's pregnant. And she's still got on a plane again to come and see me. But we warned Nick. We're like, your aunt is coming to visit, and you look exactly like the man that she lost, 20 years ago. What was that like for you?
When I saw the picture, I just, before I met Nick in person, completely blew my mind. I was just like, oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I never had a question. I knew when I opened the letter, I was actually, so it was during COVID, and I was working from home. Because of COVID, I was also pretty pregnant, and I was like on a Zoom meeting, not really paying attention, and my partner brought in this like handwritten letter. I don't read mail.
Yeah, me too.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
The year 2026, I still gotta open this.
Look, I got to take it from Tom. I don't have to take this from you.
Anyway, so my partner had seen this letter, and he thought it looked important. So I'm like in this meeting, he hands it to me, I open it, and I see the picture of you, and I just started bawling, because I knew right away that this was the brother that I had looked for over the course of 20 years that I had never found. I just knew right away before I read it. So it's pretty crazy. And then I ran out. It was like during the summer. Was it July?
Right.
So my partner was outside gardening or something, and I left. I put, took away the picture, so they thought I was still at the meeting.
Sneaky runs in the family.
I ran outside and I was like, oh my God, my brother. And he knew because I had told him. I've been with him for 15 plus years or something, so he had always known that I had looked, and I'd kind of given up because, like you said, I basically thought, he has to know, right? If he knows, he could find me. So I just assumed he didn't want to find me.
But Robert, right? Robert started on a question that I think deserves an answer, and I'd love to hear. What advice do you give to people like Robert who are sitting with a phone number on the desk that they are afraid to call the brother or sister they haven't met yet?
That question's yours, Molly.
Me?
You for Molly. Yeah, both.
Can't trust me anymore.
I would just say life is short, and
You don't want to regret.
F it. Like,
Yeah.
if it ends badly, you can always
Move
go.
on.
But then if you find something special, like, I just feel so lucky to have all these new people in my life.
It's really wonderful
Yeah.
to see.
And I know we have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I think the big thing, I've reconnected with lost relatives at times.
Yeah.
And one was enough. You know? I'm like, oh, this is why we don't talk. This
Yeah.
is why.
Yeah. It's
Like,
we don't have anyone to talk behind their back.
Like, you guys,
Yeah.
and also with your mom,
Yeah.
you talk.
A lot.
I mean, you surprised him at a book rally in Huntington.
This is the second time she's
And we don't even have enough copies of the book for you.
No.
I already have a copy.
Oh, that's
And the last one, here we go.
I just want to say that I agree with Molly because life is short and, you know, we've all gone through a lot of difficult things. My father almost passed of 9/11, so I think it made us really feel grateful that she was here. I cry a lot about the missing times that we should have had as sister-in-laws, as an aunt. So I would say go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. No great story ever started with I almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think in the realms of being the zookeeper for this or the ringmaster for this, I'll say this to the crowd. If you got something out of this today, for promoting a book or whatever, it starts with rooms like this and people telling 5 friends. I know there's a lot of people connect. It's almost like Amway people. Yes. You know, listen, I think we just have to have, if you got something out of this, I hope you take something and change your life. And I hope listen, Al's one of the good guys, right, Gary? Chris Williamson in the back. This is one of the good guys here. I could see why he's good after meeting his family. And if you have a chance to show love where this book is concerned, I think it's something to do. And Al, you've had an impact on me in my life, and I have a weird feeling with this book, you're about to have more individual impacts, and I wish you the best. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Al Isaac and his family. Teresa Isaac, Nick Isaac,